Faith here with a welcome toast. It was Jane and Michael Stern who said, "It's a bit of a mystery why so many aspiring American hosts, gourmet and otherwise, came to think of mass quantities of cheese before dinner as an appropriate hors d'oeuvre, but cheese for dessert was strictly for the sophisticated set. Please feel free to consume this show podcast at small bites or eat the whole thing."
I got that sunshine in my pocket, got that good soul in my feet. I feel that hot blood in my body when it drops. Ooh.
It's great to have you joining the party on the Faith Middleton Food Schmooze, inviting you to eat, drink, and be merry with us. We are going to celebrate, get you ready anyway for St. Patrick's Day. We've got some outside-the-box ideas about St. Patrick's Day in addition to the classics. We have a beautiful gift wine that we found. We discovered a cheese that has come into Connecticut from Lithuania, and we want to tell you about it because it's an aged cheese and tastes a lot like an almost creamy Grana Padano. It's very interesting, and it's lactose-free. And in our final segment, we have one of the great food writers and recipe creators out there, Melissa Clark of the New York Times, and her brand new cookbook. I'm with my treasured food buddies, Chris Prosperi, chef and co-owner of Métro Bis restaurant in Simsbury, Connecticut, wine brokers Alex Province and Mark Raymond. So we're going to get to our wine tasting in just a little bit, this beautiful gift wine. But first, I think we need to start with, how do you get ready for St. Patrick's Day, if you do?
Buy beer.
People go...
Oh, wait, what?
People go out. People go out, basically.
People go out.
Yeah, and they have there's that whole thing, like traditional lobster roll. Some people say, I want the traditional
Corned
thing.
beef and cabbage.
Corned beef and cabbage.
Maybe
Potatoes
some
and
boiled
carrots.
potatoes in there.
Potatoes and carrots.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So we do that every year. Can we brainstorm about some things that you would do? Chris's hand is up.
I got one that I try to do every year, and I love it, and it's a little riff on the classic. It's still the perfect time for crock pots, and I love my 16 now crock pots, and I take the largest one I have. Corned beef is in every market this time of year. I buy 2 big chunks, and this is what I do a little differently. I cut them into cubes. About 1.5 to 2 inch cubes, right? So,
like chili meat.
yeah,
stew
stew meat, a little bit more than a bite size, and I throw it in my crock pot, and I throw it in there with the little spice pack that it comes
You
with,
use
right?
it.
Of course I use it. It has like coriander and mustard seed and whatever, and I throw that in there, and then I dump in a beer.
The Guinness?
Yeah, Guinness. It doesn't have to be. I use whatever I have, nothing fancy. On low, I let it cook for about 6 hours. Then I throw in chopped up potatoes, again, that same size, chopped up carrots, and I let that go for a couple more hours, and then I finish it off with Brussels sprouts. I just cut them in half. So it's still corned beef and cabbage, but now it's more like a corned beef and cabbage stew. Right? And then, and I take it and I put it in a bowl, and then I love this sauce. I use it probably too much.
This is a good sauce.
I just use it 50% whole grain mustard, 50% sour cream. It could be any sour cream you have. Just mix it in a little bowl, and that's it. And if you like a little sweet, you could do honey or maple syrup.
What am I remembering? Didn't you, one St. Patrick's Day, you brought in a horseradish sauce?
Yeah, that's the same thing. It's sour cream, horseradish, and black pepper. With this one, I really do like that mustardy.
Me too.
Yeah, that mustard, sour cream, and a little maple syrup or honey or whatever. Just mix it, taste it, and then spoon that right on top of these chunks. Put a little of the broth in the bowl, and it's almost like a soup stew kind of thing. It's something you can do at home. It's simple.
You can freeze it, I bet.
You can freeze it. It's just a little riff on the classic.
I'm wondering how it would be if we did the corned beef in a barbecue fashion.
Ooh.
On the grill?
Yeah. Or in
smoked?
It's in
Low
the
and
oven.
slow?
Yeah, low and slow in the oven with the way you would do barbecue ribs with the same kind of sauce.
Yeah.
You know, not too sweet, not too
Like a rub
vinegary.
first?
Maybe it should have a rub.
Like they do beef brisket.
Real,
Right.
exactly.
Yeah.
Real barbecue flavor. I would
You'd cut
be
the
good.
cabbage in half and put it grill side
And
down.
I think I would like it as
Charred.
a sandwich. You know,
Sourdough
I'm
bread.
seeing remember Lee White's Hanukkah,
Right.
Hanukkah brisket? I can see a similar thing in foil like she does, where she takes a roasting pan, lines it with foil like an envelope, like 2 pieces, one going each way. She puts the brisket in there. So you'd put the corned beef in there. You'd throw your potatoes, your carrots, your cabbage, put it all in that packet, pour in a little beer in your spice packet, and just fold it all up. Or even go the old way with a little Coca-Cola, too, in there to make it sweet because the corned beef is salty, and then braise it like that. It would be heaven.
Oh,
then when you open up the packet, the aromas. And,
the caramelization.
Yeah. So you could adapt that recipe.
Brown sugar would do the same thing.
Sure, yeah, brown sugar.
Just the way we're going to hear Melissa Clark in a little while talking about a caramelized salmon.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
And the secret is the brown sugar and the flavor that that creates that caramelized sort of Vietnamese treatment of this. Brown sugar, if we treated the corned beef as if it's brisket and did a barbecue, brown sugar in there would do that caramelization.
Sure. Yeah, a little chili sauce, a barbecue. Oh my God! Now you're taking it to a whole different area. I like it.
I'm just thinking out loud.
Here's a question though: why don't we eat it more than once a year? I love corned beef. Whenever I go to a restaurant, I see a Reuben on the menu. It's my go-to.
Because it's big though, and I always think of just for Matt and I making a brisket. It's a lot of protein for 2 people. When you go to it's a big
freeze it.
Yeah, cut sections up, freeze it. Yeah.
Leftovers, would you freeze?
It's not very expensive, right?
Yeah, no.
No, it's not.
And it has amazing flavor.
It really does.
There's a good friend who makes a chipotle brisket, and I'm wondering if you could do a chipotle sauce for the corned beef.
Smoky,
in the
sweet,
slow cooker.
hot.
I love it.
That'd be kind of interesting.
Right? I would take a chipotle sauce like that and just smother it with some onions and then put it in the slow cooker just like that, snap the lid on and do it for 8 hours on low.
Chris, I'm thinking of your Barolo.
Yeah, that would, red
brisket
wine.
and Barolo in a slow
Could you
cooker.
do corned beef in that? Yeah, why not?
Oh, that's an interesting
Right?
idea.
Yeah, well, you use a Nebbiolo, right?
Yeah. So you're not spending the big bucks, right?
But that would be fun. I'm thinking I might cut a brisket in half and do half one way and half another way so you don't get tired eating all
And I think the supermarkets are catching on, too. Like, when I say I buy 2 pieces, I don't buy 2 whole briskets. Now you can get a 2-pound piece, Yeah. And once it cooks down, it's the perfect amount for 2 or 3 people.
There are a million chemicals in those spice packets.
No, the spice packet that comes with it is just spices. It's just
dried spices.
Yeah, it's mustard, coriander, some bay leaf, black pepper,
What
corn.
is corned beef?
Corned beef is just cured brisket.
In salt water?
In a brine of salt, usually sodium nitrate that gives it that pink color. That's the same thing we use in ham. And then
Is
spices.
that okay for you, though?
Some people say yes, some people say no. I mean, we've been eating it for years. Even the ones that are no nitrate use celery because celery has natural sodium nitrate in it. So you can buy celery powder to do it, but it's still nitrate, right? So it actually just keeps that meat red like you would see. And I don't know, we've been eating ham for years. No one's ever said anything about that. Right?
It's ham.
Yeah, it's ham.
It's bacon.
Okay, all right. So the one thing I thought it would be kind of fun to add in here is doing something with the potatoes. All of our dishes are talking about throwing the potatoes into the slow cooker. But I'm going to make a play here for doing these potatoes this way. We have featured on the show as our most recent star home cook, Dr. Carolyn Missouri of Women's Health Research at Yale. I went home and made these and went so crazy over them. I then went out and bought 10 potatoes, and I decided I was going to make everyone I knew these stuffed potatoes. So here it is. You take a potato. You hear me do this as a 60-second food schmooze. You dip it in some salty water.
Okay.
For, a minute. You've plugged holes all over the potato, as you usually do. A bunch of holes in the 60 seconds in the salty water. Then you put it on a baking tray in the oven at 475 for about 45 minutes. Then you take it out of the oven and
see where this is going.
You brush it with vegetable oil of some kind of your choice. Yeah. And now it goes back into the oven for another 20 minutes, and it's going to get that crispy on the outside.
The salt's drying, the salt water's drying,
and then you get that
leaving its crispy residue.
Then, while it's baking the second time, in a bowl you mix together soft goat cheese, chopped fresh basil, and lemon zest.
Ooh. Yum.
Little salt and pepper. mix it together, and then when the potato comes out after the second 20 minutes, slit it down the thing, and you just load that goat
stuff it.
cheese into
Basil
that
mix.
potato.
You're not done yet. After it's stuffed, then comes the drizzle of olive oil over everything.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
my God, I forgot.
I paid
That's-
special attention
Why
to
not just
this.
use
olive
butter
oil.
instead of olive oil?
I forgot that. I did that. I put a little
I
butter
did that.
and a little olive oil because
Nice.
of course it is
Who doesn't
so
love the baked potato?
insanely delicious.
I love the
with
salt
the
on the
salt
outside.
rind
Yeah.
and I would really suggest this
That's
to
a
go
St.
with.
Patty. Yeah, of course, because potatoes.
It's potato.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a meal. The whole
Yeah.
thing is a meal all by itself. You know, you really.
Absolutely.
How about you could take your corned beef when it comes out and you can just sort of shred it up and put it on top of that potato.
Load a
the goat
potato
cheese.
with it.
Yeah.
Sure, because then you have a totally different take on it, right?
You got
Yeah,
a
you
full
can.
meal
Yeah,
right there.
Totally. I like that. I like that
Yeah.
a lot.
Well,
I love the baked potato. I miss it.
I do. Too.
I
know.
miss it.
And the skin is my favorite part.
Oh, yeah.
Every restaurant used to serve baked potatoes. I remember my first job
Ponderosa
was,
House.
oh my gosh, my first job when I was young was wrapping the potatoes in the foil and throwing them in the oven right before service so they were ready for dinner. And now you very rarely see baked potatoes on menus.
It's
especially
comfort food.
Stuffed
They're so
ones.
good.
I order it every time I see it.
Of
So I
course.
take mine. The first thing I do is cut it in half, put a huge wad of butter inside, close
Oh,
it back
yeah.
up, let it all
Nice.
melt, fluff it up. I mean, then
I
from there,
love broccoli.
Oh, yeah.
Sour cream.
sour
Yeah.
cream.
I like broccoli, cheddar, and bacon.
salt, pepper.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Roasted broccoli, crispy bacon, cheddar cheese, and then the sour cream. Right?
Oh, yeah.
It's
It's
a
a
whole
meal. Absolutely.
Sure it is. Well, okay, that's fun. This whole thing is like,
See,
Oh, yeah.
we've taken St. Patrick's Day to a different direction, I think.
yeah, I think we
Right?
did. I think we're into barbecue and
Yeah.
slow cookers and
Potatoes.
and loaded potatoes.
It
Love
reminds
that
me in
slow
the
cooker idea.
northwest corner of Spain, and they're Gallegos, they're Celtic. I've been in these mountain villages where they will boil beef, boil potatoes, very simply. It goes on a plate, and then they just drizzle olive oil and paprika and salt, like smoked paprika.
Heaven.
And it's so simple, but so delicious.
Comfort.
Yeah.
And it's that beef that sort of falls apart with connective tissue, so it's stringy.
Right.
And the
That's
olive
good-
oil,
that's good
paprika,
corned
and
beef,
salt.
too.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
That's totally
So
good
good.
corned beef.
So am I the only one who celebrates St. Patrick's Day by having one of those shamrock shakes? is that
Yes,
no one
but-
else's tradition?
But I do green beer. Anyone else does
Okay.
green beer?
Oh,
I
green
got
beer
to-
you gotta have.
I got
Wait
to
a
have the
minute.
green food coloring.
Hold on a minute.
Yeah,
What's
what's the
I don't know
shamrock
anything
shake?
about the shamrock shake tradition. What is it?
Faith, the reason you don't know is because you have to get it through the McDonald's drive-thru.
That's it.
That's why you don't
And
know.
it's only this time
And
of
she
year.
has kids, so,
my-
she would
Right.
know.
My friend Kevin just put that on Facebook, the Shamrock Shake. So I asked him what flavor is Shamrock, and then Matt, of course, Googles how many calories. It's 800 calories in that shake.
What?
That's a
But
meal.
nobody answered the question. What flavor is it?
No one answered me.
Is it mint?
It is a mystery. Oh yeah, it is mint.
Yeah.
It is
Yeah.
mint? Okay.
Yeah.
I've never had one.
No.
No, you're
wow.
our representative.
I think we have to
Robin,
try
Robin, you're
one.
going to have to bring one in.
Yeah.
I do sense like broken up pieces of Oreos might be good in
Ooh,
that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's like grasshopper.
Or the
Yeah.
thin mints,
Yeah.
the Girl
Oh,
Scout
Thin Mints.
cookies,
Thin Mints.
thin mints.
Oh, yes,
yeah.
'cause they're
We could
out
make
now.
our own, Robin. You don't
They're
have to
out
go to
now.
McDonald's drive-through to get that. We can make you one,
I know they're all over the internet.
right?
Yeah.
Totally make
For
you a
real.
shamrock
The
shake.
copycat shamrock shakes. They're
And
A
we
vanilla
might-
shake with
food
green
coloring,
food
mint.
We
coloring.
could
Yeah,
possibly
mint.
make you an adult one also.
Yeah,
Adult
with
yeah.
creme de mint,
already,
right?
I like where you're going with this.
Cream to mint. Oh, that's a good idea, Chris.
Right? All right, we're going to make you a
I'll
real
bet you
one.
Anthony has made one.
I'm thinking about
for
Irish
sure.
whiskey for this shake.
Ooh, yeah, kick it right up, and then a little drizzle of the Irish, the creme de mint on top. There we go.
And you'd rim it with broken Oreo cookies.
Yes.
Is there
Yeah.
is there whipped cream? Is there whipped cream?
There's definitely whipped cream.
We got to have whipped cream.
Green whipped cream, green food
Sure.
coloring.
Oh, boy.
Green
Yeah,
whipped
you'd
cream.
put the whiskey
Okay,
in the
wait.
whipped cream.
Wait a
Absolutely.
minute, we have so many things to do. I mean, it's like, oh my God, this is a show. We
It's-
have to
listen,
stop talking to each other.
St. Patrick's
This
Day
like-
is a food holiday,
It
so
is
it
a-
deserves this.
Yes, and it is the food holiday that I sometimes skip.
I never skip it.
I love
know,
it.
I-
No.
It doesn't matter if you're Irish or
Nope.
not. You just have to be
You gotta.
a food lover.
That's
Everyone's Irish on St. Patrick's
That's
Day.
right.
Everybody.
You start
Yeah.
getting that little accent going.
And corned beef and cabbage is one of the pleasures. It is. It's just so simple. It's easy to do, even if you just boil it on the stove.
How do you
it
get
is
the
so
cabbage
good.
not to smell so skunky?
I think that's part of it.
Yeah.
But what maybe, some people don't like the bitterness of eggplant. I don't mind it, so I don't drain it. Other people, I'm someone who thinks, this is a little
Then I have a
skunky.
tip for you that comes from my friend Lou, who taught me this last summer, and he was roasting big sheets of cabbage. So he took the cabbage and he cut it into like 2-inch sheets. Right? Can you see that top to bottom?
Yeah.
And then he drizzled it with olive oil and salt
I see,
and pepper,
I see.
and then threw it in the oven, roasted it at 450 degrees until it got nice.
So it's
and
like a
charred.
Brussels sprout
So
at
it's like
this
a
point.
giant Brussels sprout.
Wow,
so that's
good
it.
idea. Good
Yep.
idea. Okay, 2 things. We have coming up cheese from Lithuania, which is now being sold in Connecticut. So we tried it, and we're excited. We have a great gift wine for you, a little more pricey than we usually feature on the show. But when there's a good gift wine, we like to tell you about it. This is a French one, Rouy, so it's Burgundy. It's really quite beautiful. So we'll get to that. And don't forget, Melissa Clark of the New York Times is joining us later on with her new book. And it's the kind of book where you just want to make every single thing in it. We've been eating some of the things from the book. Delicious. Okay. More mouthwatering conversation and fun ahead on the Faith Middleton Food Schmooze. I hope you will make a charitable contribution to feed the hungry. We're online now at foodschmooze.org, and we'll be right back.
I'm an Irishman, leathered, weathered Irish skin. Beard orange is the sunset of the flag. In the night sky we fight, and pride for the life we fight to live. History I write with it, spit it with the dialect, and this is a celebration of course.
Beans and cornbread. Beans and cornbread. Beans and cornbread. Beans and cornbread had a fight. Beans knocked cornbread out of sight. Cornbread said, now that's all right. Meet me on the corner tomorrow night. I'll be ready. I'll be ready tomorrow night. I'll be ready. I'll be ready tomorrow night. I'll be ready. I'll be ready tomorrow night. That's what Beans said to cornbread.
Yeah.
I'll be ready.
Okay, we have a free podcast for you, meaning a copy of the show, and we'll send it to you. The whole idea is you don't need to miss a drop of pleasure. It arrives in your inbox. You just sign up for it once, and then it's right there, and you can listen whenever you want. You can also listen when it's on the radio and you know you're going to be in the car or you're making a special appointment with our show. Listen anyway, but this is just another option. Tons and tons of people are doing it this way. So to sign up for the podcast, go to our site, foodschmooze.org, and you'll see it right there. I'm with my treasured food buddies, Chris Prosperi, chef and co-owner of Metro Bis restaurant in Simsbury, Connecticut, wine broker Alex Province of Hartford, and Mark Raymond, wine broker of Wethersfield. And Robin Doyen-Aiken is our senior producer. Hey, everybody. Let's get to the wine and the cheese. Okay, the gift wine. We have this on the site, foodschmooze.org, picture of the label and information you need to say at your wine store. You can call ahead. And also, we want to remind you that wines that are featured on the show now carry the Food Schmooze Shelf Talker. So you'll see it in a lot of wine stores.
Absolutely.
And it says recommended by the Food Schmooze.
It does.
Because we thought this is an easier way for people to find it. Or if you just popped into your wine store and, it's well after the show aired and you see the wine sitting there with our tag on it, people will say, oh, they liked it. Let me give it a try.
Absolutely.
I do the same thing. I'm walking around seeing who's saying what about what wine.
Now look for those shelf talkers.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so this is a 2014 Burgundy, and I will tell you right off the bat about the price. It's, Alex, what is it?
$32.
Yeah, so that's
Not cheap.
No.
pricey. That's why we're saying a gift wine. If you want
gift to
bring
yourself.
in
Special
But Burgundy is never cheap. Burgundy
you
is
should rephrase
very,
that.
very...
This is cheap for a
for a
Burgundy.
Burgundy. You got it.
Yeah.
This is a very good price for
Burgundies can
Burgundy,
be
yes.
up to like $10,000 a bottle, right?
Absolutely.
With their Romani Conti.
Yes.
So this comes from Burgundy. It's an appellation called Rudy, Rully. And then It's a female winemaker, which to me, I think women are making some of the best wines in the world today. And she and her younger brother, Flavian, are the producers. It's organic as well. The grape is Pinot Noir. They produce such small production. I mean, that's part of the reason why these wines are expensive is because they don't make a lot.
Sure.
And if you're a Burgundy drinker for $32, it's actually a bargain.
Yeah.
Happy birthday to me.
It doesn't mean you can afford it, despite that it's a bargain in some world. But if you wanted to walk through the door sometime with a wine you really can feel proud of and that you're bringing in something that's real quality, this is it. Or if you have a practice of being exposed to new wines that are good wines and you have a friend you do that with, 2 or 3 of you can get together and then it's $10 each, $10 or $11 each to get this wine and have a try. And you each have 2 glasses out of the bottle, which is a nice amount.
Yeah.
So that's the way, I do it with my friends. We chip in.
If you think of it as like a buy the glass, if you go to a restaurant and spend $9 or $10 a glass, I mean, it's sort of the same. These guys have been making wine since 1313.
I know. That's
Wow.
Crazy.
How do we
that?
describe?
Wow.
Let's describe the wine. So I taste berry in the background.
Berries. It's fermented in
Lots of
barrel,
bright
but it's
berries.
neutral barrel. When you look at it, the first thing you're going to notice is it's clear looking. So Pinot Noir from Burgundy is like very light in color. You could read a newspaper through it.
Absolutely.
But then when you put your nose up to it, it explodes. It's like very, very intense aroma, and it smells like
Bright
cherries
berry
and
fruit.
berries. And then
Absolutely.
you're going to think it looks like watered-down wine, but if you take a sip, all of a sudden it's just so rich and
It
intense and
explodes
flavorful
on the
palate.
palate.
It's serious wine.
It
You know,
is.
it's
It
not-
is. It's got a little grip to it, too.
Yeah, that's what
Acidity.
But I love the bright berry fruit. For me, with Pinot Noir, when I know it's Pinot Noir, the raspberry character just comes to the forefront, and I get that right away.
This is a good time just to do a little education thing. Here's a bottle, and I know wine. It takes me a minute to figure out what in the world they're talking about on this bottle. I'm thinking,
I agree. Especially when you
do you
get
do that?
French, Italian, it's confusing.
So this is French.
What's
I'm
the
looking
name?
at it, and it
What's
says
the...
Vin de Bourgogne. Okay, I think,
Wine of Burgundy.
Yeah, wine of. So I think, okay, I've got that. 2014, the year.
Great
Fine,
year.
good. Okay. Then it says Domaine Ninot, and then Rouy.
So
and
what's
then
the name
it
of
says,
the wine
No,
and
wait
where
a
is it
minute.
from?
Yes. Then it says Appellation Rouy Contrôlé. Then it says Chaponière. I'm thinking, now just a minute. I think the vineyard is Domaine Ninot. Then I'm thinking, no, that's the name of the wine. Rouy is the region.
Yep.
And then I thought, well, what's Chaponière?
So the French do not make it easy. They've made these labels forever. We had
They're
this
all about
conversation
tradition.
with these guys. Hey, I don't think people even know the name of the wine. It's 100% Pinot Noir, and it doesn't say Pinot Noir anywhere on the label.
bottle. Anywhere.
So unless you know red Burgundy is always Pinot Noir, you don't know it's Pinot Noir. And,
Right.
and they could sell so much more if they made the name easy, if they told you it was Pinot Noir.
Or just on the labels that came to the United States said Pinot Noir.
So Domaine Ninot is...
If it says Domaine, it's an actual winery, and they grow their own grapes. So Domaine Ninot, and
House.
Ninot's their last name.
House of Nino.
So
Yeah.
Nino's
Yes.
just their family. Her name is Errol Nino and Flavian
Down
Nino.
at the bottom, Chaponière.
So this is where it gets tricky. Sometimes, it'll say like 3 Oaks, oftentimes it's like a lieu-dit, like a named place, or just like a nickname for a winery or a vineyard, that oftentimes means something to the family, but nothing to the consumer. So in this case, it means nothing to the consumer. Rouilly means something.
Yes.
So that's in the
That's
Côte
a
Chalonnais, just in Burgundy.
Beautiful place.
Beautiful place in the mountains and the hills. Côte is the hill. So it's not easy.
It's not
isn't.
Well, I just wanted to say you're not supposed to remember all that. The point of this was if you feel confused looking at these labels, you're not alone.
You're not alone.
You're not
we
alone.
do too. We
I
all
feel so
do.
much better now.
Yeah.
This
It's a
is
battle.
where you need a good wine shop. So you go in and ask for help. You would ask help for televisions or computers or toaster ovens or if you were shopping for anything else. So don't be embarrassed to ask for help when you're shopping for wine.
Let me say something about asking for help. It can happen that you have a wine salesperson that you've asked for help who is well-intentioned but is pushing wine that he or she has been asked to push by the company. And so you get steered that way.
Right.
And then there's an upselling sometime where they're trying to switch you over to one that's another $10. So that a really great wine person in a store will have 1,000 customers come back if that person really plays it straight and said, look, let's figure out what category you want. Is this for food? Is this a gift? How much money do you want to spend? What is your taste? Really focused on you.
It's a relationship. So, they may recommend a bottle of wine. You're supposed to try it, come back, and tell them you either liked it or didn't like it. If you didn't, if you're trying a oaky Chardonnay, you can be like, I'm not sure how to describe it, but it was like too oaky. This person now knows you. It's like getting your hair cut by a salon or something. It takes a couple times for them to figure stuff out and understand. And all of us don't have the same language when you're trying to even describe a wine to somebody. So they have to figure you out.
Absolutely.
This is why it's important to find a good wine shop. And if they don't treat you well the first time, you might not go back. So they're incentivized to build a customer base by being honest. You say, and you can say, I want to spend $10. I want to spend $15. They shouldn't be trying to sell you something that's $25. There's plenty of wines in all those price points.
Yeah, and we always hope you won't be embarrassed to say, I really want to find a wine for a weeknight. It's $10. I don't want to spend more than $10. Don't be afraid to say anything like that.
But tell me you want something wholesome.
Wholesome,
not
good
industrial,
idea.
something wholesome that you would drink.
Yes,
no chemicals and junk.
Weird chemicals. Okay, thank you for finding that wine, Alex. Really
Delicious
terrific.
wine.
Yeah.
And it's on our
love
site, foodschmooze.org. Everything you need to know, including the picture of the label. Let's move on to the cheese.
Ooh.
Oh, I love it.
Let's talk about cheese.
Did you like this?
I loved it. I loved the one with a little more age, but even the one
me
with
too.
less age was still great cheese.
So let's say what this is.
Yeah,
This
and how did you get it?
It came in the mail.
It just came to the door one day.
Ooh, I like
we
that.
tell people if you've got a new product and you want us to have a look at it, so we opened it up today and let it
It's
come to
fantastic.
room temperature. So we like the one that had a little more age on it. But these cheeses are from Lithuania, and they are lactose-free, preservative-free, suitable for vegetarians. It's called Dziugas. I'm sure people of Lithuanian descent, I am slaughtering this, but so let me spell it for you. Dziugas. Dziugas is what I think. And so we like the one with more age on it, meaning 36 months. And that was really pretty terrific. And it's around our area now. There you go. It was like a Grana Padano with a little bit of creaminess.
Yeah, it's like a really good aged Italian hard cheese, right? I really liked it.
So coming up in our next segment, I hope you won't go anywhere because one of my favorite people in the food world, one of the most talented cookbook authors, recipe creators I know, Melissa Clark of the New York Times, is going to be our guest because she has this new cookbook called Dinner Changing the Game. I'm just going to give you a little sneak preview. Well, she does a lot of lamb chops. She does this pizza chicken, this blood orange chicken. The whole idea is to put together flavors that are a little bit outside the box. All of this doable on a weeknight, often on a sheet pan.
Easy cleanup.
Yes, very easy. There's a particular salmon I'm interested in that has this caramelized top. You're going to hear us talk all about that.
And chicken a million ways.
Yeah, and we had a couple of these dishes, and they were really good.
Really good.
Really good. So we'll tell you about those, too. Okay, so that's coming up. In our next segment, we're going to spend the whole segment, lucky us, with Melissa Clark, and she has been very generous and allowed us to put the recipes right up on the site. They're up there right now. foodschmooze.org. And I just think you might see some recipes there that are worth sharing with friends. So feel free to share.
A whole chicken.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the most beautiful food to me is a whole chicken.
Is it any better than whole chicken on a Friday night? Oh my God. You come home from a long work week. Oh,
my kids think
home.
it's fancy just because it's a whole chicken.
I like it because you have the carcass to make stock out of.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Cook once, eat twice.
It's amazing to me how something grabs you or your taste buds are just jonesing for that thing. Like for you,
Friday
you were
night
saying
chicken.
Friday night chicken, and Robin's saying the same thing. It just has this kind of fancy, wholesome look. And
That
for me,
skin on it.
I'm completely absorbed lately by fried egg on salad greens.
Oh,
Wow.
Or I was at a place called Bruce's on the North Fork of Long Island, and they did avocado toast, so toast with slices of avocado. Then they did the egg, the fried egg, sitting on top of the toast and the avocado, and broad slices of Parmigiano Reggiano cheese on top of that. And you're just meant to have your fork crash through everything. And then the yolk, which is perfectly done, just slightly
oozes.
Oh, yeah.
I think my mom would say your body's craving those foods for a reason. You know, maybe you're trying to get nutrients or something in salad.
Yep.
And I love
I love
egg and
that.
avocado
That
together.
sounds
I'm thinking salad and duck fat. Like wilty with the
What I'm
egg.
hearing is a kind of polar bear strategy where we're just packing on the bone. I think that's really what we're doing. Okay, so all this stuff is coming your way. I don't know, Chris, in the last minute before we go to Melissa, are you jonesing for anything?
no, because I'm a chef, and whenever I jones for something,
You get it.
I can make
just-
it, or I have one of my people make it. Yeah,
You
I'm
just say,
spoiled.
"Would you make that for me?"
Yeah, oh, totally. Or I order it, and it comes in the next day.
Oh, Mark.
Yeah, my cravings don't last very long.
You know, we've been doing a lot of burgers lately, and doing the fried egg on the burger I love.
Yeah.
I have never had that.
Oh, my
It's
God.
so good.
I have that once a week, if not every other week, at a place in Torrington, Backstage Bistro, and they do a great burger with a fried egg. It's just right.
good.
The
I
egg
have
is
to
just
try it.
little extra
with the greens
richness,
and then it's
yeah.
like the dressing on the lettuce and the tomato. Oh my God!
Hey, Faith,
That's
on
heaven.
Facebook, you posted a picture of a chicken and a turkey. They were like best
They
friends
were
or something.
cohabitating.
Listen,
yeah.
you have to check it out. Scroll back because I'm driving down the road on the North Fork of Long Island, going past the Orient Service Station where I get my gas, and I know the guys. And I get right past there, and I'm ready to turn in for gas, and my head swivels around. I said to the gas guy, I said, "Are you seeing that across the street?" He said, "You mean the wild turkey and the chicken?" I said,
Like it was normal.
yeah. I said, "It's a wild turkey and a chicken hanging out." He said, "Oh, they're best friends." He said they just spend all day and night together. He said that's it. They're just family together.
It's
He
a
said,
wild turkey?
It's a wild
Does a
turkey-
turkey,
And a
does a wild
domesticated
turkey go back
and a
to the
chicken
woods?
that lays eggs.
Yeah?
No, they all live
Hang out.
together.
Oh, they do.
He's not wild anymore. He's been adopted.
Oh, that's so cute.
He's adopted.
Are they a couple?
I don't know.
We should find out.
Get asked.
We should send flowers.
It's the greatest thing. I snapped it.
That was a
it's not
great
my
picture.
I snapped a picture of it as best I could, and I started sending it out to everyone I know. Love is love. Okay, Disney. Just remember where you heard about this. All right, we love the local. Please support your local food growers and food makers for on-demand podcast delivery of this Food Schmooze Party every week. And to find all of our curated recommendations, go to foodschmooze.org. Melissa Clark of the New York Times is next. We'll be right back.
Everybody knows she's a perfect 10. And I'm hanging on tight till the whole thing ends. 'Cause New York sky don't get much brighter. She sets the city on fire.
This is the Food Schmooze Party, offering the richness of life and coming to you in Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, and New York, including Westchester County, the East End of Long Island, and the Hamptons, of course. The senior producer is Robin Doyen-Aiken. To hear the show on WNPR, it airs Thursdays at 3 and Saturdays at noon. Podcasts and our curated recommendations are always online at foodschmooze.org. Of course, you can talk with us on Facebook, too. Faith Middleton. We've been waiting this whole show to get to this. There's a person, if her name is attached to a recipe in the Times, I immediately, ahead of any world events, I immediately go to see what she has done. I love everything she does. And so here we have a new cookbook from Melissa Clark, and it's called Dinner Changing the Game. I think I should let you explain what you mean about that before we get into these recipes.
Even people who love to cook, having to cook dinner every single night can become a problem. You know, it's the number one thing that I hear about when I'm writing my column and I'm coming up with recipes. I just hear people want more dinner recipes. They want more ideas because I think they get stuck in ruts. And I know I do this too, especially when I'm super busy. I'll go back to the same thing I've always made, that thing that I do with the chicken or that thing that I like to make with the pasta. And that can get really boring and very repetitive, and people feel kind of overwhelmed by this idea. What I wanted to do was come up with a strategy for people to break free of that and also to get out of that tyranny of just eating, a protein and two sides. Because when we think about dinner, we still flash back to kind of mom's 1950s, Leave It to Beaver. And that's not the way that people really want to eat, I don't think, or at least not all the time. In this book, I've taken those two ideas, get out of your dinner rut, and just make one delicious thing for dinner using as few pans as possible, as quickly as possible, with the most interesting flavor combinations, and don't worry about having to put together, this perfect little plate.
Isn't that good? So we've got some recipes, thanks to Melissa Clark, up on our website. We'll tell you about those as we get to them. But the whole thing starts out with roast chicken. Who doesn't love a roast chicken? I mean, I don't know of anyone, frankly. So she's got many, many ideas, but I want to turn to this one because this knocks me out. It's a caramelized lemon chicken. That little twist, everybody says, did you see her recipe today? I mean, was that just unbelievable? Okay, so tell me about this recipe.
Yeah, we all use lemon with chicken. It's pretty classic, chicken with garlic and lemon, and it's delicious. But what I did in that recipe is I took the lemon slices and I caramelized them at high heat. I put them into the pan after the chicken had cooked part of the way through. I did it in a cast iron skillet, although you could certainly do it in a pan as well. But when your pan is nice and hot, you throw these thin lemon slices in, and as they make contact with that hot pan and a little bit of chicken fat on the bottom of it, they caramelize and they turn golden brown, and the lemon intensifies, and it's also the sweetness comes out. It's not using an extra ingredient. It's not doing a special technique, but it's getting the most flavor out of the ingredients I'm using.
And then what do you do with those lemon pieces?
Those lemon pieces can become the sauce, basically, and you eat them. That's people think, oh, do I throw them out? No, you eat them. They're sweet, they're crunchy.
I see, isn't that the best? Because they're crunchy now, and they're just, with a little salt in there. Oh, my God.
Fat,
it's just
delicious.
Fabulous. Oh, that's the way to make a chicken. Now, we have this next one on our website, chicken and grapes with a little bit of sherry vinegar. So we're talking about fennel seeds and pepper and zest of a lemon, olive oil, a chicken you've split open. It's called being spatchcocked. Some red seedless grapes, sugar, sherry vinegar, and a little bit of butter. Not hard to do.
Not hard to do. Actually, that's a very wine-friendly dish.
Yeah.
Doing poultry, so either chicken or duck or turkey with fruit is very classic. Same also with pork. And I like seedless grapes because they're such a surprise. We think, apples or maybe duck with orange or cherries, but grapes are not used that often, and they're really easy because they're seedless. You don't have to do much to them. You just give them a rinse. I don't even take them off the stems because you can do that while you're serving it. And you put them in the pan with the chicken. As the chicken cooks, the grapes shrivel, and they get almost not quite raisiny, but they're almost a cross between a grape and a raisin, and then they get very sweet. So you need that sherry vinegar right at the end to bump up the acidity. It's a beautiful dish. It's a colorful dish, and it's a slightly unusual, just a twist. But it's not hard, and it's fast because that chicken is spatchcocked.
Yeah, and I always wonder why we don't use grapes more. It's the one thing that no matter where I am in this country and I walk into a grocery store, you might have trouble finding certain things, but grapes are absolutely everywhere, red seedless and green seedless, and you would think we would cook with them more, right? Like especially in a dish like this.
Yeah, a pork roast would be fabulous too.
Yep.
Okay, look at the picture of this with these on the stems.
How
can that not just dazzle you coming out of the oven? A big chicken.
The next day, if there was any leftovers, I would take the grapes and make like a chicken salad. A little mayonnaise, grapes.
There you go.
I never thought of that. That's brilliant because, chicken salad with grapes is a thing.
So I'm just going to say the names of some things in this section because we're going to move on. But there's the speedy roasted chicken with garlic, rosemary, and mustard. Everybody wants that recipe because of the way life is. A sweet garlic chicken with wilted chard. Garlic chili chicken breasts with cucumbers and green ginger sauce. So a nice, refreshing Asian twist there. Colombian-style chicken with corn, avocado, and lime. That's right up our alley. Thai chicken breast with coconut milk and lemongrass, crispy chicken cutlets with kumquats and cranberries. As you hear me reading these, this sounds like fancy, but it's not.
Sounds
These are
delicious.
what Melissa's doing here is very simple techniques. This comes together really fast, and yet it's a little bit different. And these flavors together are, I just think, Melissa, you have the best taste in what goes together. That's part of the secret.
Yeah, and I want to say one thing, too. It's usually when we do these books, I take one recipe from it. Faith sends me usually 1 or 2 or 3 to choose from. And I take one recipe and I do it and we try it for lunch. And as I was making one recipe, I realized it was so easy and it's so fast, I actually made 2. And that has never happened in all the years we've been doing cookbooks. I've never made 2.
Oh, my gosh. That is exactly what I want to hear. That's the aim, you know? And I always say less is more. Less work, more flavor.
Yeah.
So there's a blood orange chicken with Scotch whiskey and olives. Wow. I thought that sounds so interesting. I'm just dying to try it.
Yeah, the smokiness of the Scotch in that recipe really comes out. And then you have the sweetness and the brightness from the orange. It's beautiful, too, because blood oranges are so
You
pretty.
won Faith with the Scotch.
Exactly.
The smile on her face.
But you won me with the za'atar chicken, because za'atar is one of my best things with lemon yogurt. I thought, yep, definitely making that. There's a pizza chicken with pancetta, mozzarella, and spicy tomatoes, a coconut curry chicken. Okay, Chris, why don't you talk about one of the dishes that you made of Melissa's that we just ate?
Oh, the black bean and roasted poblano quesadillas. Yeah, and that was so simple. Once I got the poblanos roasted, which only took a few minutes, it just went together 1, 2, 3.
Delicious.
You saute some onions, add a little tomato paste, some garlic, some chili powder, black beans. I used canned because I was going fast, and I smashed them up. And then you spread that onto the corn tortilla that I brushed with a little olive oil, put a little cheese, some cilantro. The poblanos I roasted and I got it in the market, they had a little heat to them too. Oh my God, they were good.
Just the right amount.
So that was like our appetizer.
Oh, so good.
You guys are getting a multi-course lunch today.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome.
Yes, we're very happy. Okay, I'm just going to mention that there is a jalapeno honey steak with cilantro and lime. But I want to settle for a minute on this Cuban flank steak with lime and fresh mango. I love fresh mango. And with steak, never really thought about having those two together. It was beautiful. And then that lime, zip in there with both the zest and the juice, with some orange zest and the juice of the orange. So this citrus thing going on, oregano, ground cumin, salt and pepper, flank steak. So Cuban-inspired, right?
Yeah, so that one is actually a dish my daughter loves particularly. She also likes the jalapeno honey steak because it's not that spicy. Just for both of those, I find that using citrus, and especially lime with steak, is just so good because the meat is so sweet and earthy and, juicy and meaty, and then I just want something bright to set it off. So a little acid from the lemon juice, or you could use vinegar, a little sweetness from either mango or honey. You can see the formula of the way my mind works, but it all works really well together, and it all tastes extremely different. The jalapeno adds a really firm chili kick, and then on the mango dish, you've got the oregano, so you have that just earthy, herby flavor.
This is Melissa Clark of the New York Times, and her new cookbook is called Dinner, Changing the Game. I went through this book last night in real depth, reading everything and looking at things and thinking, how many of these can we get on the show? Because it is rare that in a cookbook I want to make every single thing that's in it. And I had that feeling last night. Okay, peachy pork or veal with pomegranate molasses, the new spice, the new sauce that everybody loves now, with charred onion. How's it come together?
So that's another sheet pan dish, which I just love. I love throwing everything on a sheet pan, sticking it in the oven, and then it comes out and it's dinner. It's so easy. So that dish was it was a little bit hard to get the timing just right because the pork or the veal, you want to use nice thick chops, and you can use either one. They need a little more time to cook than, you don't want to overcook your peaches. So you layer things onto the sheet pan in succession, and then it works beautifully. And what happens is that the onions, they don't turn totally caramelized. They just char and brown, but they stay, they retain a little bit of texture, which is nice. So they're not completely floppy. So you have a slight crunch. And then the peaches, you have the juicy sweetness. And then, of course, your lovely roasted charred meat is always delicious. And then, pomegranate molasses, that is the it sauce right now, the it condiment. I keep it on hand at all time. You buy one bottle and it lasts forever in the pantry.
I don't even know how to describe that flavor.
Tangy,
Yeah.
sweety,
tannicky,
breadery.
a little.
Yeah, it's
like
unlike anything.
And at first, I thought, this is going to be weird when someone pulled it out to put it on something, and I tasted it and I went crazy. I thought, oh, here we go. This is that Middle Eastern thing that makes me want to move there.
And a couple bucks for a bottle, and it lasts forever.
Yeah.
It's a good investment.
Yep.
So this is your recipe for cumin chicken meatballs with the green chili sauce. This sounds so good to me. I love cumin.
Oh, yeah.
And I think what a great flavoring. So
It smells good when you're cooking with it.
You're mixing up your meatballs with white bread and milk and cumin seeds and red chili flakes and ground cumin in addition to the seeds and ground chicken. And the egg to hold everything together, and garlic and lemon zest and Worcestershire sauce. Ooh. And then there's this sauce of jalapenos, parsley, cilantro, garlic, extra virgin olive oil, lemon juice. So imagine these chicken meatballs with this sauce, this green chili sauce. That just sounds so incredible to me.
You know what I like, too, is that she uses spices in every recipe, and it keeps your spice cabinet fresh. I tell people that all the time. You buy a little cumin, and it sits there for 3.5 years, unless, like Melissa, you use it all the time.
We use it.
Right.
Yeah, put it in things and experiment.
Such a good point. And I would tell everybody who is listening that if you indeed have 3.5-year-old cumin, throw it out and buy some new cumin.
Yeah.
So we like to give our tip for spices, and you might even have a better idea for us, Melissa. But so we say, do what we do. We go to a health food market that has them in bins, and they're cycling through them very fast. And so you just have to lift up the lid to smell how fresh they are. They haven't been sitting in a warehouse all this time. You can buy a little bag or a larger bag. It's pennies on the dollars. They'll say to me at the register, okay, 50 cents instead of $6.50.
Using coins to pay for it.
It's true. It's like you buy that little itty-bitty bag of paprika, and when you buy fresh, sweet paprika, it actually really tastes good.
Yeah.
It's like 30 cents. It's so great.
Isn't that fabulous? Honestly. So I always get double what I need so that I have stuff for the next recipe, and then I go back so I don't have to go quite so often. I am a big fan of Thai lettuce wraps.
Oh, yeah.
Which is like a ground pork with all these beautiful things inside. And, it's so, so good. I can't wait. When you get this book, people, I hope you do, because it's just so fantastic. I want to use our last minute here doing your Vietnamese caramel salmon.
Ooh.
Okay, so coconut or extra virgin olive oil, light brown sugar, Asian fish sauce, soy sauce, fresh ginger, zest of a lime, the juice of a lime, sliced scallions, sliced jalapeno, and cilantro for garnish. So tell me how the caramelization comes in.
People think, oh my gosh, making caramel is so scary, but you don't have to do that here because you're using brown sugar, basically, which caramelizes in the heat of the pan. And because it's brown sugar, it has a great flavor anyway. It already has that molasses tinge.
Yeah.
And then the spices and the lime just kind of temper it. It's so good on salmon. It's actually a riff on a classic Vietnamese bluefish recipe. But I feel that people are a little bit maybe leery of bluefish, so I adapted it to salmon because who doesn't need another salmon recipe, right? And it works beautifully.
Oh, this is so...
Sounds delicious.
I know.
When you're tired and cranky and you can't figure out what to have for dinner? Yeah. Every single one of these makes me hungry.
This weekend, this is going to be my dish, this Vietnamese caramel salmon.
Oh, good, good.
Yeah. And I just want to know, your daughter eats most of these things?
God, no.
No.
She's an 8-year-old. She eats a lot of them, but she will not touch fish.
Okay.
And
chicken of the sea.
We call it chicken of the sea for the kids.
Exactly. Yeah, she's on to me. She has her likes and her dislikes. She doesn't like certain things with too much sauce. But, She's 8. She's changing.
Sure.
You know, my mother says until I was 12, I didn't eat fish. Now, I have no memory of this, but this is what she says. So, you know, she's got time. She's got time. And when she loves something, she loves it. She's a big salad eater. Will eat all the salads, loves steak, loves chicken, you know, all the pasta dishes like a kid.
Good for her.
So there's a lot of kid-friendly stuff in the book because I was definitely feeding my family while I was writing it.
Yeah, I saw it from the pictures. I thought, oh, this is beyond photoshopping. This is real. There's green beans, as I mentioned, with a caper vinaigrette, which is, I think, a wonderful way to treat green beans.
Yeah,
because
I love
green beans need some help.
Yeah.
Okay, so
And make them interesting.
That's 1,000 recipes in here I didn't get to, and I'm so sorry I can't because it's just the best kind of food pornography, if you ask me. The recipes that we've really focused on are at our website, foodschmooze.org. Her book, Melissa Clark of the New York Times, is called Dinner, Changing the Game. Thank you so much for being back on the show.
Oh, thank you for having me.
You're the best.
Thank you.
Okay. We are on WNPR Thursdays at 3 and Saturdays at noon. Weekdays, listen for my 60-second food schmoozes. Our slogan, never eat more than you can lift. In New Haven, I'm Faith Middleton.
Everybody eats when they come to mind.
Thanks for listening to the podcast on your schedule. And when you need a little party in your life, we're here and online all the time at foodschmooze.org. And of course, also on Facebook at Faith Middleton Food Schmooze.